Hello all, it's about time for me to check in on what my own channel's been up to this past year. Not a lot, admittedly, since I did take a while off of releasing videos, but life does always catch up eventually, so not a lot could be done about that. I've had a fairly good set of reviews this year, mostly good, a few bad, all falling around similar areas to last time. I think last year's rejig set me up pretty well, and I have to say I'm a lot happier with where my reviews are sitting this year. Also, the quality of them has sort of gone up, at least in the audio anyway. I can't say I'm mega for editing, but I guess my dulcet tones contain most of the video content, so they do need to be the best. I've tackled a lot more requests this year, and a lot of those requests have been big games, MMOs particularly, along the lines of card battle games, various war simulators, and other strategy games. Mixed into the bunch have been some of my own picks that I've decided on whilst trawling through Steam, just really to allow me to push a few more videos out. MMOs take a lot of time, and as someone fairly pointed out, they usually are set up for long-term progression and tend to develop over time. So even if I try and play over 10 hours in a game, I still probably haven't seen a lot of what it has to offer. So I'm dubbing all of my MMO reviews as game review / first impressions. Whatever the game is like later on technically doesn't invalidate the first time player experience that you get at the start, and there is a lot to be said about a game's first impressions. After all, if the aim of the game is to get people playing for a long time and it ends up being so annoying that people drop it after the first few hours, that can be pretty damning for the game. So, by that logic, I will still post reviews of MMOs and class them as more legitimate than something like an early access review would be, but with the caveat that, yes, I haven't seen everything in this game and the experience may be different later on. But as said, these MMOs not only take time to play, but also take time to edit. Because if I do play a game for even 5 or 6 hours, I very often record all of it. Not only so I have more variety of footage, but also in case a niche scenario happens at any time that I find worthy of talking about, I want to have some proof to show. What that means is I often end up having to edit 6 hours worth of footage down into a 10 to 15 minute video, or less depending on how much there is to talk about, whilst also picking out all the important bits. I do try and alternate personal choices with requests to keep the mix, but I think that probably might not be as sustainable at certain times. It is unfortunate because it means a request might not get a video until months after it's made, but sadly I'm a one-man show, so I just have to try the best I can and things will get out when they get out. But it's not all bad news. I've got to play some great games, and I've had a bit more interest and interaction from you guys watching, which is always nice. I'm glad that my reviews are of decent standard. I always like to improve, so once again, feel free to give any tips or alterations you think might help. I am very welcome to those. As for the reviews, I said that I've played a lot of decent games this year, and that is the case, with most reviews landing around a 7 to 7.5 level, but with a few 6s thrown in as well. The top rated games I reviewed this year were Hymno, the chill, casual indie platformer, and Alien Swarm Reactive Drop, the mental multiplayer alien shooter. The lowest rated was Stick Arena, a slapdash game probably drawn in MS Paint with no actual players. Now I look at it, I think a 3 out of 10 is probably pretty generous. I gave God Awful Clicker a 2 out of 10 in my re-rates last year, and at least that game actually did something. I suppose it did everything without you, and also had a lot of copy-paste enemies, but Stick Arena had a lot of copy-paste maps and no one to fight, so I think I'm actually going to drop its rating from a 3 out of 10 to a 2 out of 10. Someone did question me for reviewing a dead game, but in my defense I didn't know it was dead before I played it, and also, practice makes perfect. I think I also want to drop the rating for Red Planet Farming to a 7 out of 10. I gave Chaos Combat Chess a 7 for being very samey, but in honesty Red Planet Farming is kinda the same, and I can't really say that I'd want to play it much more than I'd want to play Chaos Combat Chess again, so I think they deserve to be on the same tier. But I also don't think I'd rate Chaos Combat Chess alongside some of the other games I've put in 7.5 like World of Tanks and Captain Spirit. So instead of boosting that one up, I'll bring Red Planet Farming down. I want to drop pixelforces.io down to a 6.5. It did have decent content, but it wasn't too great quality, and the online population I think is less than I gave it credit for, so I don't think it's as good to fall into the same category as some of the other games in 7. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with what I've rated everything else this year. I also haven't spent any excessive amount of playtime on any games I reviewed, unlike what happened with MapleStory and Paladins last year. Arguably I've had way less free time, so that kind of changes it, but also nothing really grabbed me too strongly, so there isn't too much of note there either. I spent most of my time playing Among Us and, as I alluded to in my New Year video, replaying both Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Saints Row 4 and Saints Row 3 for the 4th time now. They're just so good and Oblivion has huge nostalgia, so yeah, they kinda hooked me quite hard. I do find myself getting sidetracked by other games that I own sometimes, and I did consider adding some gameplay of those into the mix as well, but then that would move my channel into the gaming YouTuber pool with the absolute billions of other people that had the same idea, and I don't really want to do that. I'm pretty comfortably set on this channel being for review content only. When I find the time to post it, that is. It seems this year's channel review is going to be much shorter than last year's, but there's no point dragging anything out if there's no need for it. I still have games on my list to play. I will keep doing my best with making content, and as always, if you have any ideas of things you'd like to see from me or any improvements for the channel, please feel free to drop me a comment and I will definitely give it due consideration. I appreciate all the kind comments people have left me and the continued support from my initial subscribers too. Those few common names are popping up quite frequently, so I am grateful for that. And of course, I extend a welcome to my newer subscribers as well. It's just nice for me that I can do something I enjoy and let others enjoy it as well. Otherwise, I hope you're all having a better year than last year, as best you can at any rate, and I hope I can keep making videos that you can enjoy to distract yourself from any not so good things. Goodbye for now.